How is it going, boys and girls? Welcome back to Key West Waterman. My name is Aaron Young. That's Tipsy back there behind me. It is a lovely Monday morning here in Key West. I just wrapped up a string of charters, and I saw some wind coming the next few days, and I actually just found out supposedly it's a hurricane, or it's going to be turning into a hurricane. And got to thinking I'm probably not going to be able to get out for at least maybe 3 or 4 days. Wind's supposed to kick up 30-35 knots out of the south. Makes the water real murky. And I was sitting out here doing my correspondence this morning, and the tide started to come in, and the water looks a little clean. If you've been keeping up, the water's been really dirty back behind the house, and I'm hoping maybe this high tide brought in a little bit cleaner water. So I figured before the wind gets really bad, right now it's probably blowing 15 or so, before it gets really bad, I'm going to run out and maybe 2 things. I really want to check the mangrove spots, the mangrove snapper spots, and see if the dirty water maybe pushed them out. The water's been really hot this summer, so I kind of want to see if there's any there, and if there are some there, maybe I'd like to grab a few. That way we got some fish for the week, because I know I'm not going to be able to get out in the next, like I said, at least 3 or 4 days with all this wind. So I'm going to wrap up my emails and whatnot and throw the little boat in the water, and we'll go poke around. Figured I'd bring you along. So because I'm anticipating the water to be a little bit dirty, I'm going to bring the short mid-handle gun. This is actually the first spear gun I ever built. We did start to remake these. We actually manufacture them now and sell an upgraded version of it. If you're interested in getting one, they're on the website. But the reason I'm going to shoot this today is because I'm 99% sure the water is still going to be fairly dirty, but hopefully huntable. And this short gun gives me a little bit of an advantage in dirty water, because I can swim around and hunt like this, and the camera gets you a little closer to the fish. So instead of having the camera on my mast, so I'm going to bring this guy along. Got a little bit of ice, and we'll head on out. So the wind's actually blowing really good out of the south, but south is that way, so the land is kind of protecting it for me, so it shouldn't be too bad down here until tomorrow. It picks up to 30-35, but we're headed out, see what we can find. Water looks a lot better than it has been in the past couple weeks, I will say that, because I can see the bottom, and I'm in like 4 feet of water. So this is our first spot. A little bit windy, so we've got some foam kicking up, but the water is actually nice and clear. I thought it was going to be dirtier than this. The ride out kind of had that brown, dingy kind of Indian River look. Something going on back there, but I'm going to hop in and take a peek. Updated water temperature. We've been dealing with really hot water. It's 89.4 right now, and this close to land. I'm pretty happy with that, because it was like 93, 94. So maybe the high tide flushed it out a little bit. But I'm gonna get suited up and take a dive. We'll see what we can see. Welcome back underwater, everybody. Appreciate you tuning in. So this is obviously the first spot. I was pretty surprised with how clear the water was. If you've been keeping up with the recent videos, the heat and just the stagnant water this summer had the water really dirty. It hasn't really been enjoyable to dive, and the past couple weeks we've actually had a lot of wind and rain, kind of flushing it out. So this was a pleasant surprise to see. The water was nice and cool, well, comparatively to what it's been, and it was nice to see some clean water. So this was, I anchored up on the leeward side of the island, and it was just dead. There was no life, no nothing. There was a cormorant right there, if you're wondering what that was. There was no life, nothing, no grunts, no snappers, nothing. And it was pretty strange. Right when I got out of the calm and got into the wind on the windward side, there were snappers everywhere. I don't know if they like the turbulent water. Maybe there's more feeding opportunity over there. The bait's disoriented or something, but I just found that interesting. So you can see all kinds of snappers. These are mangrove snappers, one of my favorites to eat. And where I'm at, the limit's only 10 inches. I try not to keep them under 12 or 13 or so. Just like the ones that have a little more meat on them. You can see I pull the camera out of the water. You can see a little bit of turbulence there on the windward side. It was where all the snappers were sitting. It was pretty wild. So I'm just kind of being picky, like I said. You can take 10-inch mangroves in this area. Some areas it's 10, some it's 12. This area is 10. I like the bigger ones, have a little more meat on them. If I'm going to take something's life, I want to get the most out of it that I can. And this is pretty neat. Kind of just cruising along, checking everything out, and just a squall of mangroves come through. This is another reason I like hunting mangroves, is the populations are so extremely healthy here. There are thousands and thousands of them. Really was just a treat to see. I saw a couple, I didn't have the camera on, they snuck up on me. I saw a couple that were definitely shooters, but the water was a little cleaner than I thought it was going to be, and I just really couldn't get the shots that I wanted. Well, that was a nice little swim. It was pretty wild. I swam across the entire backside. I'm on the leeward side of the island, and it was just a dead zone, nothing around. And then the second I got around the corners where the wind picked up and the waves picked up, the mangroves were everywhere. But as you saw, a lot of small ones. There were a couple shooters in there, just didn't have the shots that I wanted, and I got the little gun with me. I kind of made a mistake there. I assumed the water was going to be dirtier than this, but I drew a blank. So I'm a little stubborn. If you know me, I'm going to try another spot. Probably at least one more spot. I'd like to get, at least a couple snappers to eat, but we'll head on over to the next and we'll hop in. This was my second spot. Water was a heck of a lot dirtier. It was strange. I only went maybe about a mile. Quite a bit more snappers, and what was cool about this spot, there was actually bait all over the place. You could see right when I jumped in, there was some schools of pilchards and whatnot, but I saw quite a few of those, which is cool to see. Lets me know that winter is coming when those pilchards start stacking up. Still pretty early for it, but just makes me think of winter. In the wintertime, that's what we use for tunas and whatnot. It's one of the most common baits we catch in the wintertime. But it was really dirty here. This camera does a good job at making it look clean. It was off the tip of my spear. I could probably only see maybe 2 or 3 feet. I saw a couple of decent fish here that would sneak up on me. Camera wasn't on. I just couldn't get those shots that I wanted. This was a little corner where I was kind of sitting and waiting. I had seen some decent ones and was seeing if they'd come and poke their heads back out, but they never did end up giving me an opportunity. It's kind of that sit and wait method. You can just see how many little ones there are. And you'll see some of them have black stripes across their eye. Those are still the same snappers. Some of them have it, some of them don't. My understanding of why it shows up, the stripe shows up, is I think it's like an excitement thing or a feeding thing. But I could be wrong. I don't know. I've never actually looked that up. But it is the same snapper. You'll see some with and some without. And this is one of the decent ones that comes up. And you can just see how squirmy they are. That's a nice one right there. And I'm trying to track them. It's just so fast, in and out, and then gone. I couldn't catch up to it. Never saw it again. They were definitely being difficult this day. So that last spot, I definitely had some opportunities on it. Water was a lot dirtier. I saw a handful of shootable fish, but just didn't have the shot I wanted. I really hate tearing out a fish. So I'd like to be really confident in the shots I take. Fish are very, very squirmy today. But I'm gonna try one more spot. This spot looks a lot cleaner. Try one more spot and If I can't get some here, it just wasn't meant to be. See you in the water. So at this point, I'm 2 spots in and still don't have a fish to eat. Getting a little discouraged. This spot cleaned up a bit, and it's funny, I went just another half mile and it got that much cleaner. It was weird to see the water change that much. This spot's really cool. It's pretty big and elaborate. There's all kinds of little caves, and not caves, I guess, just tunnels and overhangs of the mangroves. It's just, I say it all the time, I could swim through these for hours and hours, and I do. I could swim through them for probably the rest of my life and not get bored of it. It reminds me, kind of a nerd, but I don't know why, it reminds me of the scene from The Empire Strikes Back in the swamp with Yoda. It's kind of like eerie and mystical feeling. I don't know. The mangroves are just a special place for me. But as more time goes on, I feel like fish start to look bigger if you haven't shot anything. And I think maybe some of you can relate with that. There's a couple here that are probably flirting with the 12-inch mark, and I'm trying to talk myself into it. And I sat there for probably 3-4 minutes, and I didn't end up talking myself into it, so I decided to move on and immediately get rewarded. And I looked to my left, and I got a really nice snapper just kind of swimming right up to me. Gives me the broadside close enough, and I let it go and I hit that confident shot. I try not to, I have had people say this, they're like, oh, you're trying to get the perfect shot. I'm not trying to get the perfect shot. I'm trying to get a shot I'm confident in. I don't want to tear out of this fish. I want to make sure I hit it right. I'm not a big fan of throwing Hail Marys and tearing out a fish, and you know, I want to make the best of each opportunity I have. So if I'm not comfortable with a shot, a lot of times I just let the fish swim by, opposed to, you know, just letting it fly and hoping I get lucky. But this one came close enough. I had a shot I was comfortable with, and luckily it stuck. It ended up getting a little bit tangled, and there was some polypropylene in there. I got wrapped up in it, but as always, I try to brain and bleed everything, dispatch of it as quickly as I can and humanely. And the shot actually started to bleed the fish. I hit it right under the gills where I normally would bleed it with my knife, but very nice snapper. About 2.5 hours in, my first fish, but I was pretty pumped about it. As I'm watching this back, it's really hard to tell the different sizes of fish. They look all pretty similar. There's a nice one here I'm kind of following around. I've got my eye on it and not expecting it from the left. Another really nice one comes in right here, and I almost pulled the trigger, but I'm glad I didn't, because that fish turned around immediately and I would have missed. Definitely would have at least tore out of it. I probably would have missed it. But a really nice snapper. They always sneak up on you, and I get a lot of people that ask about coming out and doing this. I don't offer this as a charter, but I think people are under the impression that this is really easy hunting, and it's actually not. There's a lot of obstructions. The snappers are very squirmy. Some days they swim right up to you, but this is actually some of the harder hunting I do. And I tell everyone, if you're just learning to spearfish, practice on mangroves, because if you can master mangroves, for the most part, you can shoot anything. Just kind of showing you the surroundings there, but it definitely is not easy. I think it really hones in your skills as far as tracking and kind of being stealthy, trying to remain calm, not moving around. If you watch these videos enough, you'll notice the mangroves are very susceptible to my movement and behavior and noises, and um, really teaches you how to be stealthy moving through here. Woo! So there we are. That was a lot of swimming around for one fish, but quite honestly, I could swim around these mangrove islands for days on end. There's something just magical about them. All the little cuts and coves and tunnels, and so much life. But there's one nice snapper, probably 18 inches. I saw more than my fair share of shooters. There's where I'm at, the limit's I think only 10 inches. I normally try not to shoot them under at least 12 or 13 or so. I saw one more nice one like this, and I was just starting to squeeze the trigger, and I'm glad I didn't, because it turned the second I would have shot. I would have either torn out of it or missed it. So, but I'm happy with that. That's one great snapper. I've already been out here. Can't remember if I said it. I've been out here about 3.5, 4 hours. I reckon I'm gonna call it. I will see y'all back at the house. For a little bit of lunch. So this is the rack, the ribs, and the neck or the throat of the snapper. All I did was olive oil, a little bit of garlic, salt, and pepper. Threw it in the oven for like 10 minutes-ish. I did put a timer on. We're actually gonna have some leftovers because we just had some friends in town, so I'm not gonna create a whole new meal for the sake of a video. So I'm gonna use what we have. I'm gonna let this cool down for a sec. I'm gonna pick all the meat off of that. We actually had ceviche tostadas the other night. We have some leftovers, so I'm gonna make a little bit of something with that. I guess I'll tell you what we have. Just fried tortillas, corn tortillas, some refried black beans, pickled onions, lettuce, a little bit of hot sauce, and then our snapper. Would you like one?
No, I can't.
Why?
Because I'm trying to get in shape here.
Alright. Madeleine's on a diet, supposedly.
It's been day 2.
I personally don't think you need to, so that's why I say supposedly. So, fried tortilla, a little bit of black beans.
I'll just smell it.
Just
It'll be the
smell.
same.
I have a strange feeling there will be a bite missing.
We're getting married in 2 months, so I'm trying to fit into my dress.
Oh boy. A little bit of pickled onions.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
More of that? Alright. This is still going to be hot, but I'm going to go in anyways.
This is part of my diet.
Fish?
Yeah.
There's bones in this. This is the ribs, so just be careful. Let's see if I can get these all together. Nah, it's not gonna work. So nice big ribs, they come out fairly easy. Madeline is having the fillets for her diet.
I don't like calling it a diet, just cleaning up a bit.
Culinary reconstruction?
No, just not cake and Oreos and...
Listen, I didn't make the cake. That was Clayton's fault. Ooh, that's hot.
Yeah, it's very hot, but that is good.
Is it good?
The flavors.
It's just olive oil,
I
salt,
know.
and pepper.
I don't know. It's so good. Oh, Juna thinks it smells good too.
I bet he does. He's like, what are we having? That is all meat. Now that the ribs are out, make sure they're all out. Ooh, ooh. Need just a little more. Alright, so that is enough for one. So you see us use these parts. I mean, we do it quite a bit. Will does it. My roommate cooking with clams. Don't need to touch that. There's just a lot left on there. I know it's kind of tedious to pick at it, but after all, we harvest these fish to eat them. Why not get as much as you can? So I barely used one piece of the rib, or I used one half of the ribs and just a little bit off the carcass, and that's enough for a whole tostada right there. So do just a little bit of hot sauce. And there's not a recipe for this because I just made it up. Well, the fish part. Again, fried tortilla, refried black beans, pickled onions, lettuce, a little bit of baked snapper. And that is our lunch. What you looking at, babe?
Trying to find some cilantro for you.
I don't think we have any.
Oh. How's it taste?
It's great. Sure?
Let me get like a little taste, little puny piece. Let me get like a little puny. More fish.
How to feel? Very good.
That's really good.
There you are. That is all I have. Oh, we actually, a lot of you guys were sending messages about that hurricane. It actually skirted right by us. We didn't get much of it. The west and panhandle of Florida, west coast and panhandle are gonna need the love, so send some love that way. I think it's actually hitting them right now. It got really, really windy yesterday. Today it's just windy and sunny.
Yeah.
This is 2 days later after I shot this snapper, so. But that's all I have. Any positive feedback, please feel free to leave a comment. We'll see you on the next one. You got anything you want to share?
Have a good day.
Madeleine's still working on not being awkward on camera.
3 years in.
It's not working.
It's not working.
We'll see you.
Babe, you just.
Why are you so weird?
Because I don't have anything to say. What am I supposed to say?
No, if the answer is no, you just don't have to share anything.
But I do this, and then you're like. So then I just say something nice.
Have a nice day. Nope.
That was Carmen.
I got a bone.